From St. Kitts and Nevis to the world, Freedom FM, 106.5 FM.
Every day we're faced with choices: to spend or to save, to delay or to stay on track. It's discipline that shapes our future, because discipline means making the choice today that pays off tomorrow. Remember, discipline, choice, pays. A message from the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Have you heard that Mind, Body and Soul is back?
Yes, Mind, Body and Soul is back on Sundays at 4 p.m. only on Freedom FM, hosted by the inspiring Julie Charles. This is your go-to show for thought-provoking and uplifting conversations. Every Sunday, dive into topics that nourish your mind, body, and soul. From wellness tips to personal growth to deep conversations, Julie brings you the stories that inspire change and spark reflection. Don't miss out. Tune into Mind, Body, and Soul on Sundays at 4 p.m. and let Freedom FM guide you to a more balanced and inspired life. Mind, Body, and Soul on Freedom FM, Sundays at 4 p.m.
Get the Freedom FM app now. Just search Freedom FM app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and start listening today.
Fellow citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, good day. The current economic and financial situation in our country has given me cause to address you today. To put it in simple words, St. Kitts and Nevis is in serious trouble. Our government is not only severely mismanaging the finances, but is also destroying our economy. Unfortunately, they have become a government of many promises and too many failures. We have reached a pivotal moment when it is imperative for us as a society to stop accepting unsubstantiated, repetitive promises. It is time to critically assess our current financial circumstances and to move away from placing faith in glossy assurances while supporting a Labour government that has proven both ineffective and incompetent. A report submitted by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, on 8th May 2026 presents a concerning overview of the fiscal position of the St. Kitts Nevis' economy. The report indicates growing fragility in our economic framework stemming from significantly reduced growth rates, steadily declining revenues, and escalating public debt. To state it in simpler terms, the IMF is saying that the economy is hurting. It is broken, severely damaged, and being destroyed by bad policies and actions of an inexperienced and incapable administration and leadership. The IMF reports that the public debt is rising, while at the same time the income is declining. What that means in local parlance is St. Kitts and Nevis is going broke. As highlighted by the IMF, we have become excessively reliant on a narrow revenue base, predominantly derived from the Citizenship by Investment program. Despite evident warning signs of fiscal mismanagement, vulnerabilities in our domestic financial sector, and a lack of substantive economic diversification, the current Labour administration continues to assert that the situation remains under control. No, it is not under control. If things do not change, and if this Labour government is not replaced, St. Kitts and Nevis could be heading to potential bankruptcy. However, the IMF also noted, and I quote, "Near-term growth risks are tilted to the downside, while inflation risks are tilted to the upside." End of quote. Those are not my words or my personal opinion. This is the assessment of the International Monetary Fund. This statement by the IMF suggests that the economy is in danger of slowing down rather than growing, and that prices for food and other goods are likely to increase. I wish to caution all Kittitians and Nevisians to be prepared. There are tough days ahead under this Labour team of many promises and too many failures. The risks identified in the IMF report underscore a pattern of reckless financial expenditure, resulting in a state of near insolvency. The report notes that by the end of 2025, the government recorded a budget deficit of 11.7% of GDP, amounting to approximately $351 million. This deficit indicates that government expenditure exceeded revenue by $351 million. Furthermore, the IMF has cautioned that savings or deposits, which peaked at $706 million in 2021 during the tenure of the Team Unity administration, in which the People's Action Movement was a major participant, are projected to plummet to a mere $93 million by the end of 2026 under the current administration led by Prime Minister Joe. Such a significant contraction in savings is likely to precipitate a sharp increase in public debt, a dramatic reduction in government services, and an inability to safeguard our citizens against rising inflation and the escalating cost of essential goods and services. And instead of looking out for the poor, Labour is not showing much care about the low-budget people. Only God knows how some poor people across this country are making ends meet every day. Businesses too have been slapped with an electricity fuel variation cost that increased from 13 cents last month to 40 cents in May for every kilowatt used. This increase will be passed on to consumers through an increase in prices, such as the recent increase in bread. Bread that was once $2.50 is now $3. It is therefore unsurprising that public debt has risen by $275 million between 2022 and 2026. In practical terms, this financial downturn is evident in the operational challenges faced by institutions such as the Parkson Medical Center in Sandy Point, where the pharmacy frequently operates on a part-time basis or lacks essential medicines. Additionally, primary schools are unable to procure basic supplies such as forks and spoons needed for students to eat the school meals. What is even more embarrassing, my fellow citizens, is that the Ministry of Finance has instructed all other ministries and departments that before they proceed to buy basic items like toilet paper, yes, toilet paper, soap, cleaning supplies, printing paper, and general hygiene essentials, approval must be given by the Ministry of Finance. My fellow citizens, fellow petitions and divisions, let us be serious. Is this the better that Labour promised in 2022? I am embarrassed for our country. Dr. Joe is demonstrating that they have no love for the people who are suffering. While departments cannot get toilet paper and soap, the cabinet of mismanagers is continuing to spend tens of millions of dollars flying all over the world in first class. I am reminded again when Buju Banton once sang, all the hike in the price we have to pay while our leaders play. Who can afford to run will run, but what about those who can't? They would have to stay. The impact of this fiscal strain is further evidenced by impending layoffs of step workers and the stalling of critical capital projects, including the Smart Hospital, the New Bastia High School, and the promised construction of 2,400 homes. The overarching consequence of these developments is that the vision of a sustainable island state may soon become unattainable, with widespread repercussions, including financial hardship for all citizens. However, there remains an opportunity for our federation to choose wisely and select the People's Action Movement, which is committed to working diligently and ethically for the benefit of the entire nation. In light of these fiscal challenges, the road ahead will undoubtedly be arduous. However, the PAM has consistently demonstrated its ability to navigate such obstacles by diversifying our economy, strengthening our fiscal health, implementing crucial reforms to create jobs, and successfully delivering essential capital projects. The upcoming election will give you the opportunity to make this vital choice at the ballot box. I encourage you to consider selecting the People's Action Movement as a path forward to advance our federation's economy. Thank you.
Shorty rock to the beat for your boy. Shorty, yeah, yeah.
Freedom FM 1065.com. From St. Kitts and Nevis to the world, Freedom FM 106.5 FM.
Every day we're faced with choices to
Hi,
spend
I am
or
Al
to
Jackson,
save.
And I listen to Freedom FM 106.5.
Just believe me now. It's discipline that shapes our future.
Nah, make them
Because
set we
discipline means making the choice today that pays off tomorrow. Remember, discipline, choice, pays. A message from the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Have you heard that Mind, Body, and Soul is back?
Yes, Mind, Body, and Soul is back on Sundays at 4 p.m. only on Freedom FM, hosted by the inspiring Julie Charles. This is your go-to show for thought-provoking and uplifting conversations. Every Sunday, dive into topics that nourish your mind, body, and soul, from wellness tips to personal growth to deep conversations. Julie brings you the stories that inspire change and spark reflection. Don't miss out. Tune into Minds, Body, and Soul on Sundays at 4 p.m. and let Freedom FM guide you to a more balanced and inspired life. Minds, Body, and Soul on Freedom FM Sundays at 4 p.m.
Wake up, worship, walk in purpose. Start your day grounded in faith with morning devotions with Serenade. Uplifting worship, powerful reflections, and encouragement to strengthen you for what lies ahead. Join us Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 a.m., right here on Freedom FM 106.5. Anointed mornings, empowered days.
Feet on the floor, but my heart looking high.
Get the Freedom FM app now. Just search Freedom FM app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and start listening today.
It's 1:48 right here in the studios of Freedom FM. It's a Tuesday afternoon, so guess what? It's time for Hot Topics. It's the first day of the week, so you're getting Hot Topics right off the bat. Nubian is here as usual. Nubian, welcome.
Most definitely. Good afternoon to all the listeners listening in St. Kitts and abroad. And today we have a guest. Mm-hmm. Today our guest is not a stranger
he has been
to
here
the radio
before.
or in the public sphere, but our guest is none other than the deputy political leader of the People's Action Movement and the candidate for constituency number 4 here in St. Kitts, Mr. Azard Gumbs. Azard Gumbs, good afternoon.
Pleasant afternoon to you and Jamie Nubian. It is a pleasure to be here in Freedom this afternoon, as Jamie said. Basically, today is the start of the week.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a holiday.
Yep.
And so
you guys look so fresh. Everybody tired today, I find that whenever there is a holiday weekend, people come back to work the Tuesday more tired than
I could imagine because there are parties that people are going to.
Yes.
They are going very early. They are coming back very late, and so they need perhaps a day off from the day off that they have.
That day off, that day off would be a partying day as well. So it is what it is.
Exactly, and you mentioned that, Jamie. The People's Action Movement is having a town hall in constituency number 8 this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. And so we are inviting those persons to listen to. Stay tuned to the party Facebook page, the party's YouTube channel. I'm told that it should be advertised on Sugar City Rock as well. And I don't know if it's going to be aired on Freedom yet, but I'm asking that person.
To me, you're advertising another radio station on Freedom.
I realized when I said it. So I'm going to go back, Jamie, and say just check us on our Facebook and YouTube page. And we had our candidates meeting yesterday, as you say. It's a holiday, but for the People's Action Movement and for the candidates, not even holidays do we forget about the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and the business of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Nubian could tell you we were on that call for about 2 hours or more. Correct. Discussing matters as it relates to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and what we want to see in our constituency, because we realize that the Labour administration, they took office in 2022, promised a lot of things, and Jamie, you hear me talk about it numerous times. They keep promising, or they promised in 2022, and we don't want to be like them to just make promises. We want to make this. We want to have discussion based on what we've heard on the ground, and have discussion among ourselves and others as to how we could better serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Because I believe that the last election was a very important one, in the sense that there is where I see that the change happened. And when I say the change happened, there's when I saw perhaps, the political arena changing. You see, we have so many political parties now. Just the other day, I heard mention of a formation of another political party. And I want to believe that at this point in time, because of the last election, so many people went out overwhelmingly to support the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party based on the promises that they would have made. And throughout the administration, they have not delivered half, 3/4, I dare to say even 90% of the promises made. And a lot of persons are frustrated. And out of that frustration, we see so many persons not wanting to be a part of the voting process. I think that will have been the boiling point. Of course, it happened throughout the years, but I believe that the 2022 general election was a changing one for people in St. Kitts and Nevis, and we've seen across the world where it is. If you look at the UK, there are a number of political parties now forming. You have the traditional Labour Party, the Conservative Party. You're seeing the Reform Party. Yeah. So you're seeing now that a lot of people, based on the political structure, and it's similar, the UK has the Westminster system. We developed the adapted the Westminster system from the UK. And so now we're seeing, strangely enough, so many political parties in the UK, and now in St. Kitts and Nevis, so many political parties.
I think people want to see a difference, and that's one of the issues that we've spoken a lot about on this program. People no longer want to inherit their political affiliation. They want to hold politicians more accountable, because let's face it, we have become used to politicians being corrupt. We have become used to broken promises. We have become used to people coming by the gate when they want we vote and we can't see them again for the next 5 years, and that kind of thing. And when you listen to the young people, they're very cynical about the political process, right? So you guys have your work cut out for you. And I said this on the last Groundings program, because politicians have to do the work.
Yes.
So you can no longer say, but this is an area. Okay, let's talk about. I'm even talking about it. No, I don't want to talk about any specific area because people get touchy.
Yes.
But we can no longer say that this area is
A stronghold for a
Pam, or this area is labor, because you don't know anymore.
The younger generation right now, the expectations are different. I mean, there are those who decide, look, I'm going to vote. But there are those who are looking for what we promised. They are looking for representation. They are looking to the system for opportunities. And that is what we have to put forward, you know, and go back to us doing the work. And sometimes I question myself, what is the work? Because sometimes you go to people and you say, hey, listen, we are going to do X, Y, and Z. And they're telling you, listen, 4 election cycles have been hearing the same thing. 5 election cycles, we are hearing the same thing. We're going to fix roads. We're going to build houses. We're going to provide opportunities. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do tower and we're going to do the other. And nothing is being done. So we have to find a way to get through to the people and let them know that this isn't a joke, that we are serious in our commitment towards helping people. And a lot of times, what the electorate don't do is to do their homework on the candidates or the representatives, because even if they go back in time, they would realize that these representatives wasn't here, they wasn't among us, they wasn't helping out before politics. And that is why a track record of service before you enter into the political arena is that important.
And as Nubian said, and Jamie, as you have echoed as well, this election is going to be based on trust. And we've said it before, this election is going to be based on trust. People now have to trust that what you're saying, that you will deliver. People now have to trust that you would deliver what you've said. You go on the, Nubian campaign, and I think Nubian campaign, like what, every day now?
Well, almost. Not every day, but almost every day.
And I have been doing my canvassing very often in my constituency, very often per week. And, you talk to persons, and these are the sentiments of individuals on the street is the fact that, they've heard this before. They've heard politicians say that they're going to paint the sky blue or paint the sky green. And after they get in power, there's no paint at all. And so this election is going to be one of trust, one where you have to not only present what you're going to do, but also persons have to trust that you're going to do what you have said you're going to do. And so, as Nubian has said before, and as he just said, you have to look at the candidates. You have to look at their background. You have to look at their track record. Is this an individual that you feel that you could trust? Is this an individual you feel would keep his or her word? And so we're here from the People's Action Movement, and the People's Action Movement has had a track record of excellence.
Right.
As I said before, and as we have all said, the People's Action Movement has developed St. Kitts and Nevis to the state that we are in today. Modern St. Kitts and Nevis would have been as a result of the People's Action Movement and the leadership of all our leaders back then, especially our national hero, Sir Kennedy Simmons. He would have implemented so many things. And so now we have a situation where the country is in need of leaders, and leaders who are not self-serving, leaders who don't only see, leaders who don't see of themselves, but actually see about the people who entrusted them to serve them. You understand?
Right.
And you look at the report, you look at the economy that we have now, and I know there was a commentary just earlier by Dr. Richards, but you look at the situation that we have here today, and the IMF reports that our country is under financial strain. You realize that our economy, the growth is only projected at 2%. You realize that the fiscal deficit has widened. It's now to 11.7% of GDP from 2025. Look at the public debt. The public debt has increased to 58.4% of GDP, and the government deposits continue to decline. The debt is expected to further rise without stronger fiscal action. And as we look at St. Kitts and Nevis, look at the position that we're in now, prior to the Labour administration, and of course there is ongoing global interactions that would affect any country. All countries are being affected by it, not just St. Kitts and Nevis, but that is where leadership matters most. That is where persons count on their leaders to steer the ship. And the Labour administration, led by Dr. Terence Drew, has not been leading St. Kitts and Nevis effectively through this storm. We've seen where it is that the People's Action Movement, in which we were part of the Team Unity administration during the COVID-19 pandemic, the People's Action Movement was able to steer the ship relatively well, even in the face of a global threat like no other, where no one else who was living at the time would have faced. And so we see that leadership matters most when it is that there are rough roads ahead, where we see that this is an uncertain climate. And so we are saying that the People's Action Movement now is the best team to lead the ship now, because the Labour administration was given a strong economy. They were given resources of the state, and they have not done well with the resources of the state. We've seen where this Labour administration increased their salaries up to 33%. Not even a year had passed, and they thought about themselves to increase their salaries. We've seen where they have traveled countless times. And of course, we understand that travel is a part of governance. We understand that there are going to be time that leaders will have to take from the country to do the country's business. But this Labour administration travels countless times. And we have not seen anything tangible from their travel. We have not seen any major projects being established. We have not seen any gateway between St. Kitts and the many countries that they have traveled. This government and the officials have traveled to Nigeria countless times, and we have not really seen any gateway, any tangible benefit by this administration. And the people are still watching, and they're still waiting. And you look at the Labour conference that they had, and one thing that stood out to me is that the Labour conference, you hear them talking about protecting their victory, not about serving the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, but protecting the victory. And I have to ask myself, victory for who? Victory for those who have won their seat, who have increased their salaries, and continue to travel countless times outside of the Federation and bring back nothing for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. That doesn't look like a victory for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. So while they are concerned about protecting their victory, the People's Action Movement is concerned about the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and ensuring that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis are better served.
Right.
So, as I said before, we have a situation where the CBI remains vulnerable. We look at the revenue fall, and in 2022, the CBI accounted to about 26% of GDP. And by 2024, we see that fell to about 8.6%. And in 2025, it fell to about 5.3%. And so we have heard about the dependence on the CBI. And of course, we say and we agree that no country should depend on one thing, because if that one thing is no longer there, then of course we'll be in trouble. But we have heard the Labour Party talk about diversification, and we have not seen any tangible action from the Labour administration to actually ensure that the economy is diversified. And we look at some of the recommendations. Of course, when you realize that the CBI is not as is the monies from the CBI, the revenue from the CBI is less, we have to look at government. Government has to look at reducing the expenditure. We have to look at controlling the wage bill. And we have to look at the social programs and ensuring that we of course, have those social programs out there, but ensure that it effectively serves the people of St. Kitts and Nevis as much as possible. And again, we are hearing warnings about Social Security, and that is something that we'll have to look at. The IMF warns that reforms to the Social Security Fund should not be delayed and notes that reserve could be depleted around 2040 without reform. We look at the banking system. Although the banking system is at this point in time remains stable, the risk still remains. Based on the IMF report, it says that positive development includes stronger capital position and declining non-performing loans. And so we have to look at that. We have to look at renewable energy. And based on the IMF report, it highlights that the IMF is optimistic about geothermal and solar projects and the wider energy transition. And of course, I've heard Nubian speak about the green energy and about renewable energy. That is something that our party would have to look at, because we realize that most of the costs that is borne by citizens, a lot of the cost is based on energy.
Right.
And the cost of fuel, the rising cost of fuel, based on no result of our own, but because of where the resources are, and because of the war, and because of other geopolitical situations. But of course, we understand that, again, as I've said, that is where leadership counts. That is where leadership matters.
Proper fiscal management matters.
Proper fiscal management. And we understand that this administration was given a strong economy. But what they did at the first start of the administration is why we're in this mess, where we can't properly ensure that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis is shield from most of the global impacts. Because you look at the Labour administration, when they first came into office, seemed like to them a lot of money was in the country. So what they did, they start spending. In my view, they start spending without thinking that, at one point in time, there could be a time where the country, based on global impact, may need to reserve some of these monies in times of difficulty. And so a PAM administration, having seen what is happening, having experienced what is happening, would ensure that there are benefits afforded to people now, but ensure that we think ahead. Right. Because we don't know what is going to happen to us. And no one is coming to save us, Jamie. No one is coming to save us. We would have to ensure that we govern ourselves to ensure that we can serve our people. And so
that is how it is in any regular family. You have to have a little savings here and there, something put away, so you just don't be living hand to mouth. And that is one of the problems I feel as though we are facing here, is that there is no fiscal responsibility. You just spend like a drunken sailor. And so when hard times hit, there's nothing to fall back on. And as you correctly said, the surge in the cost of fuel is no fault to no one around here. But what should have happened is that instead of increasing your salary, instead of globe-trotting and doing all those nonsense, money should have been saved up for hard times, because you don't know when it's going to hit. Look how much they have Ebola, they have all kind of different viruses and diseases out there. What if we have to go back in and shut down again? What's supposed to happen? Soon you're going to be entering into the hurricane season. What is supposed to happen? Can this government provide the cushion, the necessary cushion for the most vulnerable persons in St. Kitts and Nevis? And the answer to that is a resounding no.
And Nubian, as you said those things, my mind go back to COVID-19, and I said to myself, what if Dr. Drew was the Prime Minister then? What if this Labour administration was the administration to see us through COVID-19? And I am so happy, that at that point in time we had a PAM administration in office as well that would have seen the people of St. Kitts and Nevis through one of the most difficult times. Because I must say that I would have been greatly concerned if it were this Labour administration seeing us through then. Because based on their performance now, they have not even you talk about the fuel, and we talk about the fuel. Labour said in their manifesto that they're going to cap fuel at $12. When they made that promise, they would have known that they don't have resources, they don't have oil resources. So when they made that promise, they knew that anything global could affect those prices, but they made it nonetheless. So they told the people of St. Kitts and Nevis during the election that they're going to make sure that fuel is capped at $12. Right now, $18 and something cents per
Yep.
gallon.
Yep.
When we need it most would have been now. So if it is that they want to fulfill any of their promises, I think the people of St. Kitts and Nevis would appreciate most of all at this point in time if they go back to their manifesto, which now you try to look for it online and it's giving difficulty getting onto their manifesto. I don't know if they realize that persons are now looking back at their manifesto and looking to see what promises have not been fulfilled, because you can't even say what promises have been fulfilled. You have to say what aren't. And so if they were to even keep any of their promises, I think the people of St. Kitts and Nevis at this point in time would appreciate if they were to cap the gas, the fuel at the $12, because fuel at $18. I mean, there are other and I know they want to make the excuse that it's a global trend. Yeah, we understand that, but there are Caribbean countries which would have sheltered their people from the global trend. You look at countries, I think like Antigua, which would have capped the cost of fuel at the pump, so the electorate, so the citizens don't feel the brunt of it. How long Antigua could hold on to it, that just is left to be seen. But based on what we have experienced by this Labour administration, I don't think that what they have done is enough.
Right. And most of the citizens feel that way also. They said they reduced the taxes by 98 cents, something like that. Jamie?
50%.
15%? 50%, right. 90 something cents, right?
Something.
Right.
Yeah, about.
Right. And so it came down from 19 something to 18 something. But in reality is that people who have to commute from the country to town spending significantly more on gas. At some point in time, they're going to be spending significantly more on food. And at some point in time, probably the bus driver is going to want to increase.
That conversation had already came up about an increase for the bus drivers. No, it's difficult to say what is going to happen in the coming months because, I look at the international news every day. And for me, it's difficult to predict because every day something changes.
Yeah.
Within the hour, things change. Over the weekend, we were looking at, the president of the U.S. He was saying that, they're close to a deal. And then last night, you saw a strike. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So when you're thinking, things are going to settle down, things are going to get better, they're really not. But my question to you, Azard, is because it's okay. It's important to point out the shortcomings of the sitting government. But what are your plans? How would you have dealt with this situation?
Well, first and foremost, when we get into office, I think that what we'll have to do is look at the state of the economy. Then, if we're going back then, we had a strong economy. We had a much stronger economy. What we'll have done differently from this Labour administration is to ensure that we just don't start spending, that we just don't start throwing out money. I think during the first year of Labour, they started really throwing out money. They throw out money, they traveled a lot, to the point that had they conserved that money, I think it could have been better spent now to ensure that we're in a better position. And of course, the People's Action Movement, we have to look at, St. Kitts and Nevis, and our priorities must include, and you've heard us speak about agriculture a lot, because that is one of the pillars that we feel would be necessary when it comes to diversifying the economy. We have to look at strengthening and supporting agriculture. We have to look at creating reliable markets for farmers. And in that point, there was a video circulated just last week where there was a farmer crying out, saying, to the Minister of Agriculture to create a market. And I think some persons may have misunderstood what the farmer was saying. From my standpoint, and I've spoken to the farmer as well, in my view, he wasn't asking the minister to advertise for him. He wasn't asking the minister to go out and sell for him. He was basically saying that as government, let the Minister of Agriculture and his ministry ensure that there are suitable and reliable markets out there for farmers. So when these farmers have their produce, that there are reliable markets. I was told that these pineapple slips that the Ministry of Agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture as well would have been involved in distributing thousands of slips. So in my view, it's either the ministry or the minister would have thought that farmers would have been unsuccessful in producing from these thousands of slips. Because if you give farmers thousands of slips, the expectation is that these crops would grow and that these crops would need to have a proper market. And so we have a Minister of Agriculture who is very short-sighted. We have a minister who is only there for the photo op, is only there to take pictures when things look good, but not to ensure that there's proper planning within the Ministry of Agriculture or any ministry that he holds. You look at it, and I looked at Guyana. Guyana has Guyana Marketing Corporation, in which the government has a board, and they help to assist farmers export non-traditional crops. When I look at what the non-traditional crops were, pineapples were part of that list. And so the same way that we could see other Caribbean countries being serious about agriculture, I believe too that we have to be serious about agriculture. We have approximately 50,000 people here based on the last analysis or the last report, and so population report. And so we have to try not only to feed ourselves, but we have to invest in agriculture and be serious about agriculture so we could have a private sector whereby persons can thrive. So we have to look at expanding agro-processing. I saw, based on that same video where we had so many people make suggestions about what we can do with pineapple, to the point of making pineapple, St. Kitts and Nevis pineapple juice, where some individual would have mentioned so many things that could come from pineapple. And of course, as a government, we'll have to look in and support farmers and businesses who would have ideas to take these crops and to make a product from them.
That's an important point, because it's all good, because I saw some of the videos and I really try to alter some of these things. But it's okay to tell people, you could produce this and you can produce that, those are all fantastic ideas. But the reality of the situation is all of this takes money.
It does.
It takes capital. It takes machinery. It takes a lot of input besides the pineapple themselves, right? So when are we going to start to invest in our people and to invest in these industries? Because it could become a huge industry, but you have to start somewhere.
Exactly. And another criticism by our party is the fact that this government has taken it upon itself to have a government-run farm. If you look at the Keon area, you see that there's infrastructure in there whereby we are seeing that government is getting involved in farming. And we're saying, no. Farming is an area where we have to empower the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have to empower farmers. We have very good soil. In fact, we boast about our fertile soil.
Best soil.
The best. You understand?
Yes.
I look at Nubian when I look at this soil.
Yes.
Nubian in itself is a farmer, So we look at the what we have, fertile land, Liamiga. And it's time for us to invest in our people. It's time for us not only to take just for lip service, but actually ensure that we promote and encourage. Our party wants to encourage food security and export. We had a Minister of Agriculture that talked about the 25 by 25 agenda, and 2025 has passed.
No, CARICOM has agreed to put it to the 25 by 2030.
which is a more realistic prospect. I mean,
maybe. But my concern about that is that, okay, so the 25 by 25, for those who don't know, is the idea was to lessen the food bill by 25% by the year 2025 and going forward, right? So CARICOM realized that there were some challenges in some of the territories, so they moved the year to 2030. So we're not really hearing anything about it.
Yeah.
So my issue is that, are we going to wait till 2030 to start putting things in place? And I don't mean St. Kitts and Nevis alone, but are we going to build on what we've done so far?
And that question that you're asking right there is that pivotal point where even by 2030, we won't get to where we want to get.
Exactly, because if we're going to wait till 2029,
because there are certain fundamental things that should have already been in place.
Exactly.
Since 2022.
Exactly.
Since 2023, at least, the formation of those fundamental things, like bringing back a Samaco type industry that could help promote the sale and all of that.
Units within the Ministry of Agriculture.
Clearly, it's not functioning, and so you need to, you need to start empowering your farmers. You need to start diversifying agriculture on a whole.
Because my thing is, if we were not ready as a region in 2025, what are we doing now to ensure that we're going to be ready by 2030?
And that's one thing that we would have said as well.
Nothing happening.
We said that, and I know you know Troy Flanders. Troy Flanders is a member of the People's Action Movement. And when the 25 by 25 agenda was being discussed by the minister, well, he would have said, that's a CARICOM agenda. We have to look at St. Kitts and Nevis. We have to get ourselves adjusted. Because, again, as you said, Jamie, yes, CARICOM could say these things, but it's for the member states and territories to ensure that they have put in the work.
But CARICOM didn't just say it, we signed on to it.
And so we have to put in the work.
Right? So we have to ensure that we're ready, and I don't...
But when you look at, when you start to sit and really analyze our state of play when it comes to agriculture, when you look at our animal husbandry sector, it's you look at crop farming, you look at vegetable farming, our aquaculture industry. We really, really, really need to put agriculture where it needs to be.
And even in my constituency number 4, we have a number of farmers, we have a number of fisher folk, and we have to look at all the constituencies, of course, and look and see where we can best ensure that agriculture works for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We want to make sure that we use our resources to the best ability so the people of our country can benefit. We don't have oil, we don't have other resources. So the resource that we have, we must ensure that we use it as best as possible. And our soil is one of them. And so we have to look into agriculture and not just play lip service to it. I don't care who will have had the Ministry of Agriculture before. When we get into office, we have to look at agriculture and how we could push agriculture more than it's being pushed now.
Even for employment purposes, and entrepreneurial purposes, as I just was about to say, we could diversify into aquaculture. There are different sectors of agriculture, not even for our local market, but when we look at exportation, we look at shrimp. We had a shrimp farm here. The shrimp farm is closed, but we could look at reopening the shrimp farm, opening tilapia farms. There are even a lobster industry out there that we could adopt here, mussels, different things that could provide employment, economic opportunities for our people, something to export to bring in those foreign currency that we so desperately need, and make St. Kitts great again.
So we're speaking about food security, but we are also speaking about building the economy through export.
Yes.
Right? Now, The thing about agriculture, and somebody said to me, Jamie, y'all always talking about agriculture.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there are so many opportunities that people don't see. And agriculture can work together hand in hand with all the other sectors. There's agriculture in healthcare. You have to be able to feed people properly in order to have a good healthcare sector. There's agriculture in terms of tourism. You need food for the tourists. You need flowers for the tourists. You need them same agro-processing, all of those things.
Right.
You need for as
And I like to say too, you'll need accountants as well, because you need people in finance.
You need lawyers.
You're gonna need exactly.
Yes.
Right.
So
it's all intertwined. You know?
Exactly. And so that's why, and we have to look at the areas that we're not doing well at the moment and how we could improve. And so our party has to look at some of the weaknesses and how we could improve those areas to ensure that we maximize it so St. Kitts and Nevis can develop holistically.
And we have people on the ground. We have people here,
We-
right? Because
But
we like
we don't
to say
like use the people.
No, you know what we like to say? We like to say, oh, but we don't have the experts here. And then we look outside.
Or recently we say think it's people lazy and they're like, well,
Oh, that too.
yeah.
Yeah. And Kitushan saying that.
Yes. Yes.
We also have to support the small businesses. I mean, we look at the government, and government already hires a large number of individuals. And we look at the big businesses, of course, they hire a good amount of persons as well. We have to start to we have to encourage persons, the little businesses that they have, you know, to we have, as a government, I think we should do better in terms of supporting small businesses.
But how would you support small? How do you?
We have to look at making sure that there is a easier access to finance for these small businesses. Of course, we have the development bank that is supposed to be there to assist citizens as they develop. And of course, we have to look at reducing the red tape. You know, there's a lot of red tape. So we have to look at how can we make it easier for these small businesses once the idea is good, once it is plausible, once it looks like it can work. How can we ensure that there is access to finance to help and develop small businesses and these ideas? We have a lot of brilliant and talented young people in St. Kitts and Nevis. And I think once we can get these persons access to finance, I think that they can become entrepreneurs and be able to sustain themselves. Ultimately, we have to look at, and our party has been one that, you know, look at developing that individual, not one that is so big government, but one that ensures that the private sector is in a position. Yeah. And when you look at private sector, oftentimes when you hear the private sector, people start to think big business, you know. I don't want to call any name, but those big businesses out there, they don't think about it as the small businesses as well.
The mom and pop shops.
The mom and pop shops.
You know, one way that I think, and I've been speaking about this for years, people need locations for businesses. The rent in Bastille is outrageous.
It can
to say
be.
the least.
Yes.
It can be. It is.
Modest.
Even if you look outside of providing financing for small businesses, because I believe that banks generally would lend if you're not that risky. But for me, in talking to entrepreneurs, talking to young people, talking to small business owners, there is the tightening of the economy and the lack of opportunities. Like, for instance, I know persons who sell food out of the back of the vehicle, the back of a car, the back of trucks and what's not. With, like, for instance, the Bajans getting the Bastille High School, that cut back the amount of local contractors on the ground, the duration of the project on the ground, cut back on the amount of locals getting the opportunity to work. So therefore, it cut back on the amount of revenue that those small vendors could make. Once you start to cut back on that, then the shops and the stores in town, they feel the cutback, and it's a trickle effect down the line. So we have to be able to think creatively, and that doesn't even requires any creativity in deciding who should get a contract like that, because that money spins all the way down to all facets of our community and our economy. And so what people need is the opportunity, because with the opportunities, then you could say, hey, listen, I've been generating X amount of funds and I need a loan in order to expand and what's not. And you're not a liability to the bank. You become an asset. And that's what we need to do. Empower our people so that they become assets at the end of the day. I mean, you can't get people cooking at the end, cooking food, waking up 3 o'clock in the morning to cook the food and prepare dinner, prepare lunch and all that. And nobody there to buy it. Because the persons who you want to sell that food to is what I'm seeing now, too. Nothing else there to do.
Nobody made a good point. Look at the fact, construction drives any economy. You understand? It has a trickle-down effect. And you look at the Basket High School, this Labour administration really shipped out the construction work to outside St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yep.
Barbados, you look at the homes, the 2,400 model homes or the 2,400 homes boasted by Dr. Jeffrey Hanley and Labour, not even under that program completed. And again, to Trinidad company. So you look at the fact that we could have really made an impact in terms of construction and capital projects. This Labour administration decided to send it offshore. And so one has to wonder, why did they do that? Why is it that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, why is it that our people aren't good enough to ensure that we create jobs and make sure the economy is buzzing and keep the money in our country? Why is it that they have to go overseas to do partnership?
Because, and I'm quoting the government
Yes.
at this point, the technology, according to the government...
Nonsense.
But you didn't even hear what I'm saying.
Nonsense, Jamie.
According to the government...
From a mile away.
The technology that is being used to construct the school, because we did ask the Prime Minister, he was here, and I did ask him that question, and he said that the process being used to construct this school is not available on the ground.
I
So
see.
he had to... and the company, according to him, is owned by a Kititian. So he had to, go to Barbados, and then there will be some workshops on the ground to assist people to get to that standard.
Jamie,
Hold on there, Azard. Hold on there, let me answer Jamie.
You ain't answering me,
Okay, me gonna answer you.
You're answering what the government said.
Okay, let me answer what the government said. No. Things tight, all about. No fault of anybody here. Things tight. No. It is the government's responsibility to make sure that your people can survive at the end of the day. Hold on, Jamie.
I'm listening.
No. You have Unity, when the school was going to be built, it was $100 million. Now that Labour took it over, it magically got to $271 million. So there's an increase of almost close to 200%. But at any rate, let's work with the $271 million. You have $271 million to spend. Can you imagine what $271 million could do for our economy? And how much persons can benefit from that? All the different contractors, all the different service providers here in St. Kitts. We don't, as Azard correctly said, we ain't got no natural resources here. We don't produce lumber. We don't produce the cement. We don't... Nothing. So we have to look at the labor aspect of that $271 million because all the materials got to come from overseas. The prudent thing to do is to get your contractors. There's like 1 or 2 contractors association. Get the guys together. Say, hey, look, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to move going forward. We need you all to get up to speed with the technology. and you let them go, get the training and come back. People who thinking about the people and thinking about the economy, you must go that route. I've seen it worked in Cuba. I mentioned it here. When they wanted to change the generators, they didn't just get up and bring in a whole set of Germans to change the generators. They sent the people outside, overseas, to get the proper training. And after they were trained, then they went and undertook the project to change the generators. And that is that is what we have to do. We have to start empowering our people.
So you're saying that you would have preferred...
If I was in that position, I would have got my architects, my engineers, and the contractors together, get them the training that they need to get them up to, and then start the project. Because then, here is it now, it ain't only the school, but then there is the houses, there's the homes, and then there's the hospital. And what if we want to do a health center? We can go call the Bajans again? Because to date, we don't have the technology, and the people here can't build it.
The Prime Minister says he's working on the technology, so
he working it from where? Jim, come on.
The technology should be here by the time they're ready to build the hospital, and who knows if they're building the hospital with the same technology.
But the same reason why, if you're going to do this school, get our people trained so that they can do it here.
Okay.
And so moving forward, we have our persons, because equipped, because even if somebody wants to build a hotel somewhere, somebody from St. Kitts could say, hey, listen, I did these studies in this thing, and we could do it with using this sort of technology. So you don't have to bring in persons from overseas. And here is it now, you're causing more money to spend within your economy. And that is how you properly represent and look after your people. You just can't be out there spending off poor people money just like that.
And you know, that is one difference between this Labour administration and a People's Action Movement administration. We care about the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We just don't want to be spending unwisely. Our administration is one that really tries to spend wisely. Look at the economy under PAM. We have been successful in steering the ship years after years. Look at our track record. It speaks for itself. And I want to go down now and look at my constituency. We have a representative currently in Parliament, and the people of constituency number 4 continue to cry out. We look at the fact that the sporting facilities, we're doing well in sports in terms of our people. You know, congratulations to the OR team and for winning the championship. We're doing well. But look at the play fields, the virtuals play field. Look at the Challengers basketball court and the play field in Challengers. Look at the netball courts. And of course, we have a Minister of Sports, and there is neglect as it relates to these sporting facilities in my constituency. A lot of persons in my constituency, they are desirous of owning their own home. A lot of them have to leave the constituency because there's not enough opportunity for them when it comes to housing. And I know Nubian...
Well, at least you have land.
No, I know.
I know.
And that is the issue. You understand? I was going to look at Nubian next because I know one of the questions that Nubian says is that when in constituency number 2, there's no land there. But in my constituency, we have land. And so we must ensure that the people within the constituency are able to build and develop. There's no need for them to leave. You understand? And it's not a sense where young people are saying, give it to me, and not trying to make a headway for themselves. You hear about persons applying for land. You hear about persons applying to NHC, and persons who are saying, just this morning, I had a conversation with a constituent who said that, you know, they're paying rent. This is 4 years they're paying rent. And they're paying rent.
A young person?
Relatively young. Mm-hmm. In the terms of around a little older than me. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Relatively young, but a little older than me.
Yes. Well, they're not in their 20s.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, but they're not in their high 40s. So they are saying that, they are paying rent for some time. And the same way they could pay rent, they could pay a mortgage. You understand? And you hear the cry about with a lot of people, because when you look at the rent, so the rents are in the thousands, and based on the property.
In US.
And some of them in the US, you understand? And persons are saying, well, if I could pay this all the time to someone, they want the opportunity to build and construct their own homes. And so that's something that we have to look at. How can we make housing more affordable to ensure that persons can get that at least?
More accessible.
And more accessible. And so that is something that we'll have to look at when we're in government. We have to ensure that houses are built. We're hearing the complaint now with NHC where persons are going to NHC, the less vulnerable, or the most vulnerable, and they're being told that they have to go to the bank. And of course, one would ask the question, if it is that they have to go to the bank, if they're applying through NHC, well, they could just go to the bank on their own. And so the fact that they apply through NHC would suggest that they are looking for some sort of assistance. We know the NHC, when it was formed to ensure that persons who may not be bankable, so to speak, can still have a home, because homes are important to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis or any nation. And so that is one of the complaints in my constituency, where persons are saying, well, we got so much land out here, why we can't try to do some sort of housing complex so persons can have access to homes. Another thing is the fact that we've had the Virtuous High School there, and we've seen where the students and the teachers at the Virtuous High School over the past years have excelled. They're doing really well. And that school, in my view, needs some sort of upgrade when it comes to infrastructure. The school has been built for years now. And so I believe, and as the next representative, it would be my task to ensure that there's some improvement, infrastructural improvement to the Virtuous High School.
What would you like to see?
I would like to see where it is more comfortable. Right now they have the fashion blocks and stuff like that. I think that for me, I would like
It's a bit dark.
Yeah, I would like to see a comfortable space. I believe that these schools, and I might be a bit ambitious, so bear with me. We have the schools, and the schools we have offices, and offices use the AC and stuff like that. I feel that our students should also be comfortable, whereby they're able not to be in a very hot environment. I might be ambitious. I have to look at the plans. I have to look at the monies that we have. But I believe that it's time for us to renovate the high schools, and I say the high schools across, to ensure that the students are comfortable when they are learning. And they dress in ties. When I was at the Washington Archibald High School, I had to tie my tie, and many of the students here have to go in ties. And we want to make sure that when they go to school, it's learning, that they're comfortable. I teach at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College, and sometimes the AC is out. And to deal with students and even lecture is a difficulty. And so we need to make sure that even if it's as simple as that the classrooms are comfortable. Another thing that we have to look at on the Virtuous High School, close to it, is the basketball court that I talk about, the netball. We have persons, and right down is where the field is. So we have to improve those to make sure that not only the students, but also the citizens and whoever involved in sports and want to have some sort of recreation feel comfortable when doing so. You understand? We can't promote and brag about this and that, and the very foundation is shaky. So whereby we look at infrastructure. I would like to see also, we had a representative who's currently in talk about building a port down by New Guinea. I'm still waiting to see the port in action, but we have to look at developing St. Kitts and Nevis and looking at areas whereby not only Bastia is an area of buzz and activity, but look at how we could look across the island and create buzz centralize, make sure that it's spread across the
Well,
island.
decentralized.
Yeah, decentralize that. So make sure that, and you see, I sometimes, in talking about my constituency, I can't forget St. Kitts and Nevis. So some persons might say, well, you come on here, you're talking about St. Kitts and Nevis, but talk about your constituency. Yeah, my constituency is one that I focus on. I look at the people in my constituency. I want to ensure that better is for the people in my constituency, but also we are part of a team, and we have to make sure that we also ensure that St. Kitts and Nevis develops and thrives. And so when we look at the planning for our country, and something that I like to criticize, that sometimes it don't even look like we have a proper plan in place when it comes to settlement and it comes to development of the areas.
Right. They should always have like a 50-year development plan, and with that you make minor adjustments, but at least there's a plan ahead. And if you look at how especially Central Bastia was built out, you realize that it was never built out with any planning in mind. Places where they were supposed to have like green spaces or areas for children to play, especially in Central Bastia, it's filled right now. And so how do you reverse that? That's a $1 million question. But one of the things, Azard, I would want you to touch is, if you were speaking to a constituent that is on the fence and probably, let's say, voting for the first time, a new voter, why should they vote for Azard Gumbs, Deputy Political Leader of the People's Action Movement?
I would say because Azard Gumbs grew up in constituency number 4, Azard Gumbs continue to live in constituency number 4, Azard Gumbs continue to listen to the concerns of the people of constituency number 4. And so I have a better understanding, a real life understanding of what is happening in my constituency. I have lived there for years. I mean, before I went to school, I clocked about 20-something years in my constituency, and so I have been born, I've raised in that constituency. I know the people of that constituency, and of course, as time progresses, there are going to be persons who enter that constituency, and so I am getting more acquainted with those persons who have, migrated from other areas, would have received land in my constituency, and now making a home in my constituency. I want to believe that I am someone who cares about the people of my constituency. I want to be that representative that when my time in office comes to an end, persons could actually say, well, we started here and we ended here.
Right.
We started at point, let's say 1, but we moved to point 10. So there is some progress. I want to ensure that, because I don't believe when elected that I'm going to be the last representative. So I have to ensure that there are persons in my constituency who would be given the opportunities to develop themselves so they can become leaders of that constituency even when I'm gone or even while I'm there. We have to look at, and I look at the job, and I talk to persons, and doing canvassing more and more, you realize that it is a job that is a 24/7 job. There's no vacation on this. Persons call you at any point in time. Persons need assistance. And in opposition, there's only so much you can do. And in government, of course, you have access to resources, but then again, there's only so much you can do. So you have to be able to be a good manager, not only of resources, of people, because there are going to be perhaps conflicts between families. And of course, at the end of the day, you want your constituency to be one that is peaceful, one that works together. Everybody works together. And so I would say that by electing me, you elect someone who was born and raised in the constituency, continue to live in the constituency, and someone who cares about making sure that his constituency is second to none. Making sure that his constituency is the best constituency in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Right. You want to open the phone lines in a little while?
Yes, let's do that.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. The number is to call in. We're not going to take a break because it is late already. But the numbers to call in are 662-1065, 465-6474, or 465-0546. That's 662-1065, 465-6474, 414 or 4650546. And we do have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Good afternoon, caller. Let's try again. Good afternoon,
Hello, good
caller.
afternoon, Jeremy.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, and good afternoon to my good friend Azard and Lubian.
Good afternoon.
I realize I don't touch the real topics we're going on in Think you know. Let me show you and Azard and Jeremy something. National Bank invests in some land over the southeast and the west. And the land them up to sell, and we cannot get a report out of National Bank. It's poor people money. It's the penny bank money, you know. This ain't politician money. And we need answers. And we need those pilots down at the ferry terminal 6. We just don't want people go down there and push out water out of them. The minister of tourism is a lady. And she should have some kind of class when it comes to other ladies. Ruby and I calling you. I tell you, calling you. You're supposed to be the representative in constituency too. And you're playing like you don't care. Gender will come hard at you. It's your duty to go down there and help me lobby the damn woman for that. The toilet is nasty. It's awful. The place alone. For instance, that's a port and entry. It shouldn't be looking like that. I'm a petition. Division come down there every day. And that is where we need them. We have 10 more people going to be coming in here for the music festival. Staying in Sinkiton, going over Nevis. And that is where the minister gave us. The ISI could do the job better. And if they don't come better, jam them will be you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much for that contribution. Let's go back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. You're live.
Good afternoon, Jamie. And
good afternoon,
sir. Yeah. I know it's sometimes necessary to play devil's advocate, but I don't think that this Basti High School issue is one of those issues.
No, I wasn't playing devil's advocate, but it's sometimes important to give both sides of the conversation.
You give another perspective. That's why I said sometimes it's necessary to give another perspective. But with this issue, there is no excusing this route of having part of the school built overseas. It's ridiculous. Okay? I'm here watching a new building going up next to where I am. And I'm marveling at the speed in which they're working with the new technology that they're working with. And these are citizens. They don't sound like foreign accent people. And yes, there's nothing wrong with them coming in because they have a right, I guess, as CARICOM and OECD citizens. But these sound like citizens. And the mere fact that you could make that transition from the old ways of doing stuff, bending steel and so on, to the new, quicker ways of doing it, means that it could easily have been done with whatever technology they're using to make the concrete slabs that they are bringing in from overseas. Okay, so what I'm saying is there is no excuse for it, right? Have they trained the people, and it shouldn't take long to train, right? And let them do it from as we were accustomed to doing, using local, as far as possible, local labor. And to pivot to Azard's point about the state of the high schools in need of refurbishing and so on. You see, what this reflects to me is bad policy from the outset. We got stuck on the fact that this school, the Basti High School, was made political. And so we're in this space where, we're going to build the school by hook or by crook. Instead of thinking further ahead, you're going to put a state-of-the-art high school and the others remain in that state. Does that make any sense? Use the money to refurbish the schools all to the same level and use whatever surplus there may be, or bring in more money to have a state-of-the-art college that the whole country can benefit from. Right? This is backward policy. We're going back to the days when the Bastia High School or grammar school had the best of everything, the best facilities, the best teachers, the best everything. And so everybody wants to send their kids there. Now we're going back to that again. What do you think is going to happen with the state-of-the-art high school? Or everybody going to want to go there. Even the teachers want to be there with the state-of-the-art equipment. It's going to take state-of-the-art money to maintain, right, which would draw funds from the other areas in education that need assistance, right? And it's just bad policy overall, I find, okay? And if it's also a bad use of that current site, by the way. I honestly feel that it should have been something else. There should have been more thought into putting something else there instead.
What would you advise that they put there?
What I would have advised that they put there, you've been to St. Lucia?
Yes.
You see those government buildings there close to the waterfront with parking garages and so on? Something like that. That's an ideal use of the space. You go up, okay, and you make an ideal use of the space. Use the
so like a government complex.
Right. Yes, and parking and room for parking. You have the Warner Park right next door.
But you
won't have to encroach on the Basket High School grounds for parking when you have anything there.
But there was. So you're saying you would put a government complex there, but there was a proposal to put a government complex at Fort Thomas.
Yes, that again, that just indicates the thoughtlessness in these things, right? We are, and what to me what has happened there, because we've seen it happen before. The persons in government, they're experts in their fields, but not in all fields. And it doesn't seem like they listen to technocrats. They listen to people who come in with some harebrained scheme or money, right? And you just go with what they tell them. That's what it looks like to me, right? Because why else would you do something like the Fort Thomas Hotel before consulting local people? Why would you bring... what's funny? This morning I was listening to Premier Brantley boasting about how Nevis, everywhere in Nevis has water. And he was saying, he saw somebody from St. Peter's saying they haven't had water consistently for 2 weeks, right? How did we get here, right? When we one of the first things that we had, what was it? This tank and pump thing, right? That somebody approached the Prime Minister with, ran with it, and the problem still exists. That's what I mean. If you're not an expert in something, then find people who are expert in it and listen to them. You don't just decide on doing these strange projects and then you run into problems. Right? It's an unfortunate way, I think, of governing that this government seems hell-bent on repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. Right? If you had put the Washington Archibald High School, let's say, as the school for the East, and the college as the school for the Western parts of Bastia I'm talking about, right? And build a new college complex, which could eventually become a university campus or something, right? That would make more sense for the future than what they're doing now. This is short-term politics that is being done, right? You're thinking of the next election. We promise a school, the Bastia High School, we're getting it by hook or by crook. But I don't know. I just don't understand the thought process behind these things. They're just not thinking, right? And it's unfortunate because later down the road, we're going to end up paying one way or the other for this. Taxpayers are going to end up paying for this because what you're going to do with virtual high schools now? It ain't just matter of taking out those blocks. That should have been taken out long ago. It's a matter of bringing the school up to the standard of Barnsley High School. Same thing with Sandy Point. Same thing with Keon, right? And I'm saying that there was another approach to this that would not have involved going backwards. Because I remember when I started teaching, everybody wanted to send their kids to Bastille because they thought they got a better education. It wasn't necessarily true, right? Because as the Minister of Education,
there was some truth to that. Let's be honest.
Okay. The blowback. I remember at a staff meeting because I taught at Sandy Point High School when I left school, and Fitzroy Bryan came there and said, "Why are Sandy Point High results not as good as the other schools?" Sandy Point High School, and he said, "I get very mad. I remember well. I get very mad if you tell me anything about facilities because Sandy Point does not have any worse facilities than anywhere else. They have this a good number, equivalent number of graduate teachers, etc., etc., etc. What is it? What is wrong? And then what was wrong is the perception that sending your child to Bastille High School was better than being in Sandy Point High School. And it's changed now, right? It's changed now over time. And you mean to say we're going to revert to that again?
Okay, Mr. McMahon, we gotta go because there are other callers, but interesting conversation because when we're speaking about state-of-the-art high schools, we need to speak about state-of-the-art education.
Yeah, that's right? Another thing.
So we can't just speak about the building, but good afternoon, you're live.
Yes, good afternoon to the show here there on the panel here. The man is so right. They're doing this thing. They don't call the community. They don't ask no question. Jeremy, you ever drive up there? You drive up there anytime to the North Superior because you're driving back and forth. It's a cluster. I'm not a driver. We're coming down there. Car park on both sides. I thought they said they were going to make their parking lot and pay.
Where?
Up the Bastille where the Bastille High School was.
Oh, you're saying it's close?
Drowning with parking space. It's really terrible in the high educated people. Oh my God. They make it look so. Man just saying a million things what is right. They ain't calling a tongue on me. They just I'm going to do this and do that. And when they come with the whole cabbage afterward, they try to fool people. People now getting so wise that people wondering what to do. We'll do this, do that. Leave them, let them go to the police station. They want to see how much down there. Because it's disgusting. Up there, jam. I'm not a driver. I went to learn to drive. I didn't finish it. But up there, jam. Both sides, one time we just on the park side. They had a little parking. Now we reach both sides. And a natural person, high educated, but it's so high. Then nobody foresight in that it is a mess. It's terrible. Down there by the bathroom with the gentleman who talked, speaking a while ago, that ain't fixed that. And same people come in and say a woman is over that there. Come on. Sometimes I don't want to ask a question and I'm going to left the rest for the answer. More question and answer. It's a terrible man. Fix the thing until I got paid by the treasury. So I'm got paid by the treasury. Yeah, he's supposed to clean stuff up and I don't know what the thing. So that means it's a nasty country. As Rasta man they come here and say, yeah, things out on here bad, you know? Very, very much bad. That's I'm just sitting, I don't know why I get this fixed so far. I getting this one fixing. I only what they're thinking about. The place in Dilemma, look on the bypass road now. Yeah. There's a festival coming. Don't let us think and cleaning whoever over them. Right, the park and beach is supposed to be over it. I don't know who they got over in the front. Because I don't know the lady even on a party was in the other day. It just so kept clean. You could have stayed downstairs on the road and bring up a bread and go up to eat it. Oh, hey, look now. Look like a jungle thing. But to the country, everybody does one big name, sorry. For this and that, for that the country going down, Germany, I'm very sorry. As a big woman, this was time when Mr. Bradshaw was alive. We was our country used to be clean. Our men are just got a load of money, but clean. One person asked me, one person told me, our bedroom ground. Men and walk up there Sunday, like Sunday gone. Up from Barbados, so we had the best bedroom ground in the Caribbean. Look how we look now. Look how we look. Breaking down, people have been stopped when they go to the tombing. They don't clean it back up. Look, it's a nice lot of poor gentleman who used to run it. Oh, man, you really didn't jump. You really don't. I don't know what happened to this country, yeah? But on me,
Carlo.
it's not going to come.
Thank you so much for your contribution. We're going to take a few more calls. Good afternoon. You're live.
Good afternoon. Just a second. Good afternoon,
Good afternoon, sir.
Excuse me?
No, I said good afternoon.
Yes,
Good afternoon.
they would have us. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Three of my favorites, I might add. They would have us believe that youth is a commodity too precious to be entrusted to the young, a period notoriously characterized by foolish blunders and thoughtless mistakes. If this is true, then all three of you, I swear, Jamie, the brilliant Lazar, and of course the magician, all three of you are the notable exception. And don't gasp or gulp, please. Youth is still, in my humble estimation, 10 years your senior, spoken by a man who has been retired for 2 years. Everything is relative. I love all three of you. And I say this without fear of contradiction. Now let's get down. Having said that, I want to let all of you know that we have come to an exceedingly perilous time in Earth's troubled history. Experts are in unanimous agreement that should the Strait of Hormuz remain closed for much longer, the catastrophe that will ensue will be irreversible. These are serious times. To stay the course in our nation, we need a steadfast and trusted hand at the helm. It won't be yours. I'm sorry, you representatives of PAM. I did say I love you, and I do, but guess what? You had your chance. We gave it to you, and let's face it, you blew it. Therefore, this chance you so ardently desire is made forfeit because of your past performance. Electing PAM will, in my humble estimation, constitute a return to the normalization of dysfunctionality.
Okay, Mr. Pemberton, Azard wants to ask you a question, okay? Hold 1 second. Go ahead, Azard.
Thank you, Mr. Pemberton. In your comment, you said that we had our chance and we blew it. I would like to say that for many of us who are part of the People's Action Movement and candidates, we are new candidates. We have not been in government before. So we want an opportunity to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have seen where our leaders, especially in the 1980s to the 1990s, where they perform extremely well. And so we want to ensure that we put St. Kitts and Nevis in the right path to a better future.
Everybody deserves a chance, and I couldn't have heard a more reasonable request. But I have to say this, and I must. You cannot win alone. You can't win, but you cannot win alone. Everybody says that. That is a given. And I'm looking here, looking back at a coalition with a party that returned a single candidate was enthroned king, not prime minister, mind you, but king, because his was a unilaterally ordered rule, and you know that. Everybody else was subservient, and how he abused them, and yet they said it was the best thing. They kept saying it. They fooled us. It was the best thing that ever happened to them. They asked him about the CBI proceeds. Answer, looking good. No figures, no records, no accountability. But guess what? The Honorable Sean Richards is running. He sent in something here right now.
Mr. Pemberton, I want to ask you a question. Are you satisfied with the Labour administration's performance?
Okay, Mr. Pemberton, hold one moment as I was trying to ask you a question, okay? So as I go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Pemberton, are you satisfied with the performance of the Labour Party from 2022 to now?
Well, I'll tell you what. Change comes in incremental stages. It comes and works best when it comes in incremental stages. The biggest room in the house, it should always be the room for improvement. Yes, we can do better, but we have made some humongous strides, which I don't have time to enumerate. At least you will agree with me that it did not come accompanied by chaos. Can we at least agree on that?
By your definition of incremental, do you mean very slow or none at all?
Wait, what do you call none at all? You are quite an intelligent man. Go on and define none at all and let the entire nation, even before you enter in, reverse their decision on your intelligence. What's your definition of none at all?
Well, Mr. Pemberton, respectfully, I feel that the Labour administration campaigned in 2020 on a number of promises, and half, not even half, I won't even say half, 90% of those have not been fulfilled. So if you said that they're going incrementally, when are we going to see these promises fulfilled?
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you know the time, effort, and resources required to clean up the abysmal mess you left? Do you have any conceivable idea? Of course not, because you're outside looking in. And that's where I'm going to keep you, because we as a nation survived unity. I want to ask something of you, because you're asking question after question and quoting on my presentation. You didn't do that to anybody else, but I am not annoyed. Neither do I mind. I have a question for you, please, and the magician. Both of you are close to my heart, and it is not cost intensive. Can I get a T-shirt from each of you, please? I'm going to need it as I campaign vigorously. I wanted to say I survived. Team unity. I'm glad to be alive. What about you, the Honorable Sean Richards? You certainly should be, after being unceremoniously dumped after having been robbed of your rightful position? Are you thinking clearly finally because somebody else has to get in? Can you at least, our bones are still by and large fractured? You put us through the ringer. Can you at least, and you're decent, or am I too late? Can you at least have the decency to allow us to heal properly before approaching us with your fine-sounding promises that are totally barren of fulfillment and will remain so if I got anything to do with it? Nothing personal against you. You're just on the wrong ticket. I'm going to make sure of it. You have a great afternoon, you and yours, and good afternoon, folks.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pemberton.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pemberton.
For calling in this afternoon. We're going to take the final call. Good afternoon. You are live.
Yes, Jamie, yeah, good lecture. But look at this man in Africa. A young guy pick up the country, and what he did for the what he doing for the country. Where there was no road, you make him road. When there was no bridge, you make him bridge. Because people got to drive 3 days and so to reach where they're going to the market to sell. Come on, we want no sweet, we want action. Nothing doing but just flying out on a plane every 2 minutes going somewhere. And our country going down the drain. What happened to the hospital? What happened to the smart hospital overcoming? What happened to other things they promised? What happened to the high school? They gave me the high school over there by Kim Calling Highway. I don't know what they're doing again. I'm going mobility. Yeah. Looking mileage. We will need people who really mean something. Who really going to put things on the map. You mean me going dead and gone and they think, I don't think it's going on. We're going down, we're coming up. The money now, they say if you're renting a place, they say, you must be running out of, they say, oh, you must have to come to them now. That's another thing again. Poor people, poor are we? Come to somebody, this and that, some poor are we, man, poor are we, country, poor are we. We want to live up, and we want money, we want to see things going, and promising and not doing. Everybody come promising stuff. Man, come on, man, we want a sweet talk, we want to see action. Everybody talk bad, but we sure people come from Nevis. They must say that just thrown up the face, but we're going to know how we have the boat Nevis so clean from my time I have the boat to we're going up, we're going and come back. Not thinking. I'll be sticking up to my face and put country over your napkin over your nose. Come on, man. You are acting like a young man. Young man. And he doing business, you ever watch him? You are Azard.
But we gotta go though.
Young man, he doing business. And he's trying to encourage
I'm telling you.
some more African leaders took her, they just pull in the pocket like others. Man, we need action.
But we're gonna talk about President Traore a different show because we are out of time and I don't want, Juni to start to call me.
I'm telling you. So, well, just before I allow Azard to wrap up, there was a very successful car racing event over the weekend. It was excellent. I want to big up the Nevis team
You
for
went?
putting up. Yes, I did. I have a race car. It didn't participate over the weekend. But the meet coming up September thereabout, it should be up and running. And over there, you heard the same sentiments because a lot of St. Kitts cars went over to Nevis to race. We had cars from different parts of the Caribbean also, but the St. Kitts racers highlighted the fact that we really need our racetrack, and that is something that we have spoken about as a party. That's a football, that's a can that they have kicked down the road for many years, and we have made a commitment that that's one of the things on our priority list to make sure that St. Kitts get a full quarter-mile track here in St. Kitts for the large amount of racers that are here in St. Kitts. So I want to big up the Nevis team, and I want to tell our racers here that we would deliver on that promise and getting a racetrack here. There's so much persons around the racing fraternity here who is willing to pitch in. So it wouldn't be something that the government 100% go out and do, but it will be executed in public-private partnership. And that is something that we have committed to.
Okay,
go ahead, Mr. Azard.
Yes. I want to say that the IMF report should serve as a wake-up call. It confirms that while there are opportunities ahead, there are also significant challenges that require serious leadership and sound policy choices. The People's Action Movement believes that economic success must be measured not only by reports and projections, but by whether farmers can sell their produce, small businesses can thrive, young people can find opportunities, and
Right.
families can afford a decent quality of life. That is the economy we will continue to fight for. I want to say thank you, Jamie and Nubian, for the opportunity to be here this afternoon, and we will continue. The People's Action Movement will continue to fight for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to say to those persons to look out for us on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Come out to the St. Peter's Community Center as the People's Action Movement continue to advocate on your behalf.
Okay, Nubian?
Well, you heard it from Azad, and this was another successful Hot Topic show. Next week we'll be here, same time, same place. Me and Jamie, we have a special guest for next week again. Every week really we got special guests. And we want to thank all the callers. Some of them are very long-winded and some are nice, short and sweet. But we thank everybody at the end of the day for giving us their listening ear on Tuesdays from 1:30 to 3.
Okay.
Yes.
This is your number one.